Our story begins a very long time ago, over 2,500 years in the past. Imagine, if you will, a world without the money we know today. This was the time of the great Achaemenid Empire, a vast kingdom that stretched all the way from the edges of Greece to the mountains of what we now call Afghanistan. Around 500 BCE, something truly revolutionary started to happen. The rulers of this empire began to produce small, precious objects made of metal. These were some of the very first coins. They were not just shiny trinkets. They were a new way to think about value, power, and trade. These early coins were often made of silver, a metal prized for its beauty and rarity, making it perfect for this important new job. These first silver coins were quite different from the ones in our pockets today. They were not perfectly round or machine stamped. Instead, they were crafted by hand. A skilled artisan would take a lump of silver, heat it until it was soft, and then place it between two carved pieces of metal called dies. One die would have a design for the front, and the other would have a design for the back. With a heavy hammer blow, the image was pressed into the soft silver. This created a coin, but each one was a little bit different. Some were thicker, some were thinner, and the designs were not always perfectly centered. This handmade quality gives each surviving coin a unique character, a direct link to the person who made it centuries ago. The designs on these Achaemenid coins were very important. They were not just for decoration. They were symbols of the king's power and authority. A common design was a figure of the Persian king, often shown as a great warrior holding a bow and a spear. This image sent a clear message to everyone who used the coin. You are part of a powerful empire, ruled by a mighty king. This was propaganda you could hold in your hand. In the lands of ancient Afghanistan, which was then a rich and strategic part of the empire known as Bactria, these silver coins would have been used by merchants, soldiers, and administrators. They helped to pay for goods, fund armies, and collect taxes, tying the region firmly into the Achaemenid world. The use of these silver coins marked a huge shift in how societies worked. Before coins, trade was often done through barter. You might trade a bag of wheat for a clay pot, or a sheep for some cloth. This system worked, but it could be complicated. How many pots is a sheep worth? Coins made everything much simpler. A silver coin had a recognized value. It made trade faster, easier, and possible over much longer distances. For the people living in ancient Afghanistan, these little pieces of silver opened up a world of new possibilities. They connected local markets to the grand trade routes of the empire, bringing new goods, new ideas, and a new way of life that would shape the region for thousands of years to come. Sometimes the most amazing stories are not found in books, but buried in the ground. Archaeologists are like detectives who hunt for clues about the past, and one of the most exciting types of clue they can find is a hoard. A hoard is a collection of valuable things, like coins, that someone buried long ago and never came back for. They might have been hiding their savings from an invading army, or simply storing it for safekeeping. In 1933, an incredible discovery was made near the city of Kabul. A large clay pot was unearthed, filled with over 1,000 silver coins and pieces of jewelry. This amazing find became known as the Kabul hoard, and it completely changed what we knew about the early history of money in Afghanistan. Studying the Kabul hoard was like opening a time capsule. Inside were not just coins from the Achaemenid Empire, but also coins from ancient Greece and even early coins made locally in Afghanistan. This mixture was astonishing. It showed that this region was not an isolated place, but a vibrant crossroads of different cultures. The Greek coins were particularly surprising. They were some of the earliest ever found, dating back to a time before Alexander the Great's famous conquests. This suggested that Greek ideas and Greek money were influencing the region much earlier than historians had previously thought. The hoard provided solid physical evidence that Afghanistan was a key player in a global network of trade and culture over 2 millennia ago. The way these coins were made also told a fascinating story. The earliest coins in the hoard were the Achaemenid sigloi, small silver pieces with the familiar image of the Persian king. But alongside them were other, rougher-looking coins. These were what we call bent bar coinage. They were essentially small bars of silver, bent in half and stamped with a unique pattern. Experts believe these were a local form of money, made and used in the region before the Achaemenid coins became widespread. The Kabul hoard showed us the transition, the moment when one form of money was being replaced by another. It was a snapshot of economic change, frozen in time for thousands of years until its discovery. Sadly, the story of the Kabul hoard also has a tragic side. For many years, the collection was housed in the National Museum of Afghanistan in Kabul. But during the devastating civil war in the 1990s, the museum was looted, and many of its priceless treasures disappeared. A large portion of the Kabul hoard was stolen, and likely melted down for its silver, lost to history forever. This tragedy highlights how fragile our connection to the past can be. The surviving coins from the hoard, scattered in collections around the world, are now even more precious. They are the last remaining witnesses to this incredible chapter of Afghanistan's history, whispering secrets of ancient empires and lost fortunes. History is never static. It is a river of constant change. After the Achaemenid Empire, a new and powerful force swept across Asia, the armies of Alexander the Great. Around 330 BCE, the young Greek conqueror marched into Afghanistan, bringing with him not just soldiers, but also Greek culture, language, and of course, Greek money. This marked the beginning of the Hellenistic period in the region. The old Persian coins were soon replaced by beautiful new silver coins, much more advanced and artistic than what had come before. These coins were a powerful symbol of a new world order, a fusion of Greek and Eastern traditions that would define the region for centuries. The coins of the Greco-Bactrian kingdom, which was founded by Alexander's successors in Afghanistan, are considered some of the most beautiful coins ever made. Unlike the earlier, slightly crude Achaemenid coins, these were masterpieces of miniature art. They were struck with incredible precision and featured stunningly realistic portraits of the kings. You could see the individual curls in their hair, the expressions on their faces, and the intricate details of their helmets or crowns. On the reverse side, they often depicted Greek gods and goddesses like Zeus, Apollo, or Heracles. These coins were not just for buying things. They were a way for the Greek rulers to project their power, their culture, and their divine right to rule over a foreign land. But this was not a one-way street. As the Greek kings ruled in Afghanistan, their coins began to change, reflecting the local culture. They started to be struck in a square shape, which was more common in India at the time. The inscriptions on the coins also became bilingual. They would have the king's name and titles written in Greek on one side and in a local Indian language, using the Kharosthi script, on the other. This shows that the rulers understood they needed to communicate with all their subjects, not just the Greek elite. The coins became a bridge between two cultures, a perfect blend of East and West that you could carry in your hand. Following the Greeks, another great empire rose in the region, the Kushans. The Kushans, who originated from the north, embraced the traditions of coin-making they found in Afghanistan. Their silver coins continued the practice of showing a portrait of the king on one side, but on the other, instead of just Greek gods, they depicted a wide range of deities. You could find figures from Greek, Iranian, and even early Hindu and Buddhist traditions, all on the coins of the same empire. This incredible diversity shows that the Kushan Empire was a tolerant, multicultural society. The coins are like a catalogue of the different beliefs and cultures that coexisted and flourished along the Silk Road, with Afghanistan right at its very heart. Empires rise and they fall, but the need for money is constant. After the Kushans, Afghanistan's history saw a long parade of new rulers. The Sasanians came from Persia, followed by various Hunnic groups from Central Asia, and then, most significantly, the arrival of Islamic armies in the 7th and 8th centuries. Each new power brought its own system of governance and its own style of coinage. Yet through all this turmoil, something remarkable endured: the tradition of making coins locally. The anvils in the mints of cities like Balkh, Herat, and Kabul never fell completely silent. They simply learned to play a new tune for each new ruler, adapting and surviving through the centuries. The arrival of Islam brought about one of the most significant changes in the history of coinage. Islamic tradition generally forbids the depiction of human or animal figures in religious contexts. As a result, the beautiful portraits of kings and the images of gods that had decorated coins for 1,000 years suddenly vanished. They were replaced by elegant and intricate Arabic calligraphy. The new silver coins, called dirhams, were covered in words. They would proclaim the faith, with inscriptions like, "There is no God but Allah," and "Muhammad is his messenger." They also included the name of the ruler, the city where the coin was minted, and the year it was made, providing historians with incredibly precise information. These early Islamic coins were not just religious statements, they were powerful political documents. In a world where many people could not read, the design of a coin was a clear signal of who was in charge. When a new caliph or a local governor came to power, one of the first things he would do was to strike new coins with his name on them. This was the quickest and most effective way to announce his authority across the kingdom. If you were a merchant in a bustling market in Herat, the silver dirham you received would tell you exactly whose rule you were living under. The coins were a constant, tangible reminder of the power structures of the day. Even as different Islamic dynasties, like the Ghaznavids, the Ghurids, and later the Mughals, vied for control of Afghanistan, the local mints continued their work. They adapted their styles to suit the preferences of each new dynasty, but the fundamental role of the silver coin remained the same. It was the backbone of the economy, facilitating the legendary trade along the Silk Road. Afghan silver, mined from the rich deposits in the Hindu Kush Mountains, was turned into coins that traveled far and wide. They have been found in Viking hoards in Scandinavia and in market towns in East Africa, a testament to Afghanistan's central role in the medieval world's economy and the enduring skill of its minters. Let's fast forward through the centuries to the late 1800s. Afghanistan was in a difficult position, caught between the expanding British and Russian empires in what was known as the Great Game. The country was fragmented, with different regions often using their own currency. A strong ruler was needed to unite the nation and modernize it. That ruler was Abdur Rahman Khan, who came to the throne in 1880. He was a tough and determined leader, often called the Iron Emir. He knew that to build a strong, independent Afghanistan, he needed to control its economy, and a crucial part of that was creating a single, unified currency for the entire country. Before Abdur Rahman, coin-making in Afghanistan was, well, a bit chaotic. Mints in different cities like Kabul, Kandahar, and Herat produced their own coins, which varied in weight, purity, and design. This made trade difficult and confusing. The Emir decided to change all of that. He embarked on an ambitious project to modernize the country's coinage. One of his most important steps was to introduce modern, steam-powered machinery for minting coins. In 1891, he established a new, state-of-the-art mint in Kabul. This new technology meant that for the first time, Afghan coins could be produced that were uniform, well-struck, and difficult to counterfeit. The new coins were a powerful symbol of Abdur Rahman's modernizing vision. The main silver coin was the rupee, a denomination familiar across the region. These new rupees were very different from the earlier handmade coins. They were perfectly round and had intricate, machine-engraved designs. A common design featured a central mosque surrounded by flags and cannons, enclosed within a wreath. This imagery was carefully chosen. It represented the pillars of his new state: Islam, military strength, and a modern, centralized government. The coins no longer just carried a ruler's name. They broadcast a political ideology, projecting an image of a proud and unified nation to the world. The introduction of this new, standardized silver currency had a profound impact on Afghanistan. It helped to unify the country's economy, making trade between different provinces much smoother. It also strengthened the power of the central government, as only the state-controlled mint in Kabul could produce the official currency. Abdur Rahman's silver rupees became a symbol of national sovereignty and a key tool in his state-building project. By taking control of the money, he took a giant leap towards forging the modern nation of Afghanistan. His coin revolution was every bit as important as his political and military reforms, laying the financial groundwork for the country's future. The early 20th century was a time of great change for Afghanistan. After centuries of being influenced by outside powers, the country finally achieved full independence in 1919, under the rule of another great modernizer, King Achaemenid Khan. Achaemenid was a visionary who wanted to transform Afghanistan into a modern, progressive nation. He introduced sweeping social, political, and economic reforms. He knew that a truly independent nation needed its own unique identity, and that included its own currency. The old rupee was too closely associated with British India. It was time for a change, a new name for a new era of Afghan history. In 1925, a landmark currency reform was announced. A new unit of money was introduced, and it was given a name that was deeply connected to the country itself, the Afghani. This was a hugely symbolic moment. For the first time, the country's currency would bear the name of its people. The first Afghani coins were struck in silver, continuing the long tradition of using this precious metal for the nation's most important money. The main coin was a 1 Afghani piece, made of 90% pure silver. It was a beautiful, substantial coin that represented the pride and optimism of this new period of independence. The design of the first silver Afghani coins was a complete break from the past. Gone were the complex mosque and weapon motifs of Abdur Rahman's era. King Achaemenid chose a much simpler, more modern and secular design. The front of the coin, or the obverse, featured the national emblem, known as the tukara of the king. The reverse side was dominated by a large numeral 1, indicating its value, surrounded by the word Afghani and the date, all enclosed within a simple circle of stars. This clean, elegant design reflected Achaemenid's modern, Western-inspired vision for his country. It was a coin that looked forward to the future, not back to the past. The introduction of the silver Afghani was more than just a name change. It was part of a wider plan to decimalize the currency, making it easier to use for accounting and everyday transactions. The new system, where 1 Afghani was equal to 100 pul, was much more logical than the old, complex system of rupees, shahi, and sanar. Although the transition took many years to complete, the 1925 reform laid the foundation for Afghanistan's modern monetary system. The silver Afghani coin of King Achaemenid Khan remains an iconic piece of the country's history, a tangible symbol of a hopeful moment when Afghanistan stepped onto the world stage as a proud, independent, and modernizing nation. We often think of coins as just something we use to buy things, but for historians, they are so much more. They are tiny metal documents packed with information. This is especially true for a country like Afghanistan, where centuries of conflict have destroyed many written records, libraries, and archives. In the absence of books and scrolls, coins can speak to us from the past. They can tell us who was in charge, what they believed in, what they valued, and how they saw the world. Each coin is a miniature historical source, providing clues that might be impossible to find anywhere else. One of the most valuable things a coin tells us is its chronology. Most coins, especially from the Islamic period onwards, are stamped with the year they were made. This allows historians to create precise timelines for the reigns of different kings and dynasties. Sometimes, a coin is the only evidence we have that a particular ruler even existed. A rare coin might be discovered bearing the name of a previously unknown local governor, or a usurper who held power for only a few months. Without that small piece of silver or gold, a whole chapter of history, however brief, would be completely lost to us. They help us fill in the gaps in the historical narrative. Coins also give us a window into the economy of the past. By analyzing the metal content of a coin, scientists can determine its purity. If a dynasty's coins start to contain less silver and more cheap metals like copper over time, it is often a sign that the empire was in economic trouble. Perhaps they were running out of silver from their mines, or the government was broke and trying to make its money stretch further. The location where coins are found is also a huge clue. When Afghan coins from the 10th century are found in Sweden, it tells us about the vast trade networks of the Viking Age and the incredible distances that goods and money traveled. Furthermore, coins are a fantastic guide to the art and culture of a period. The stunning portraits on Greco-Bactrian coins show us the skill of their artists and their ideals of beauty. The shift from portraits to calligraphy on Islamic coins tells us about a profound change in religious and cultural values. The designs on modern coins, like the mosque on Abdur Rahman's rupees, or the simple elegance of Amanullah's Afghani, reflect the political ideologies and national aspirations of their time. For collectors and historians alike, holding an old coin is like holding a piece of history. It is a direct physical link to the people, the power, and the culture of a lost world. The story of Afghanistan's coins is not just one of creation, but also one of loss and survival. Throughout its long and often turbulent history, countless treasures have been lost. Hoards of coins, buried for safety, were never recovered by their owners and may still lie hidden beneath the soil. More tragically, many known collections have been destroyed or scattered by war. The looting of the National Museum of Afghanistan in Kabul during the 1990s civil war was a devastating blow to the country's cultural heritage. Thousands of priceless coins, including many from the famous Kabul hoard, were stolen. Many of these stolen coins were smuggled out of the country and sold on the international antiquities market. Some were probably bought by collectors who had no idea they were handling stolen property. Others, sadly, were likely seen only for their raw value. Ancient silver and gold coins were melted down, their historical and cultural importance destroyed forever, simply to be sold as bullion. Every coin that suffers this fate is like a page torn from a history book that can never be replaced. It is a loss not just for Afghanistan, but for all of humanity, as another small voice from the past is silenced. In the face of such loss, the coins that survive become incredibly precious. They are the fortunate few that made it through centuries of change and decades of conflict. Numismatists, the name for people who study and collect coins, play a vital role in preserving this legacy. Responsible collectors carefully catalogue their coins, share their knowledge with scholars, and help to piece together the puzzle of the past. Their passion ensures that these objects are not just seen as investments, but are studied and appreciated for the stories they tell. They become the custodians of history, protecting these small metal witnesses for future generations. There are also ongoing international efforts to identify and repatriate stolen artifacts, including coins, back to Afghanistan. It is a slow and difficult process, but it is driven by a powerful belief that a country's cultural heritage belongs to its people. As the National Museum in Kabul has been rebuilt, some of these lost treasures have slowly started to return home, a symbol of hope and resilience. The coins that remain, whether in museums, in private collections, or returning to their homeland, are more than just old silver. They are survivors. They carry the weight of history and stand as a powerful testament to the enduring spirit and rich cultural legacy of Afghanistan. As we have seen, the history of Afghanistan can be told through its silver coins. This journey, which began with the rough handmade coins of the Achaemenid Empire, has woven a continuous thread through 2,500 years of history. From the artistic masterpieces of the Greek kings to the calligraphic dirhams of the Islamic caliphates, and from the modernizing rupees of the Iron Emir to the proud silver Afghanis of an independent nation, these coins have been a constant presence. They have been struck in the mints of bustling cities along the Silk Road, carrying the names and symbols of dozens of different rulers, empires, and dynasties. These little pieces of silver have served as much more than just a medium of exchange. They have been political billboards, broadcasting the power and ideology of the rulers who issued them. A portrait, a religious inscription, or a national emblem on a coin was a message sent to every corner of the kingdom. They were instruments of economic policy, helping to unify vast territories and facilitate trade that connected Afghanistan to the wider world. The purity of the silver in these coins could signal the health of an empire, its rise, and sometimes its decline. They were the lifeblood of commerce and the foundation of state power. The coins are also a mirror, reflecting the incredibly rich and diverse cultural history of Afghanistan. Situated at the crossroads of Asia, the region has always been a melting pot of peoples and ideas. This is perfectly captured in its coinage. We see the influence of Persia, Greece, India, and Central Asia all stamped onto these metal discs. We can trace the spread of religions, from the pagan gods of the Greeks and Kushans to the universal message of Islam. The bilingual and trilingual inscriptions on many coins speak of a society that was, for long periods, multilingual and tolerant of different cultures. They are a testament to a cosmopolitan past. Today, these historic silver coins are powerful national symbols. They represent a deep and ancient history, a legacy of skilled craftsmanship, and a story of resilience through centuries of change. For a country that has faced so much conflict, these tangible links to a glorious past are incredibly important. They remind the world, and Afghans themselves, of the long and proud story of their nation. Each silver coin, from the earliest bent bar to the first modern Afghani, is a chapter in that story. A small but enduring testament to the wealth, power, and cultural richness of Afghanistan. A silver thread that ties the present to its remarkable past.